Live from NBC4, this is the Channel 4 News at 5:30.
It is one of the most luxurious housing developments in Southern California, but underneath the ground, a potential hot zone, hidden gas. And tonight we've unearthed new information on this potential danger. Good evening once again. I'm Colleen Williams.
And I'm Paul Moyer. We begin here on Channel 4 at 5:30 with one of the most ambitious real estate developments in West Los Angeles, Playa Vista. Several weeks ago, we broke Burning Questions, the exclusive story of a state government report about methane gas seeping under the Southland subdivision. Now, in another exclusive tonight, Channel 4 unearths more on this potential danger beneath the soil of the massive development, which includes plans for a grade school. It is a 1,000-acre real estate development just south of Marina del Rey, expected to attract 12,000 residents in the next 6 years. But luxurious Playa Vista is also located next to underground gas reserves and deep oil deposits that critics say are leaking poisonous chemicals to the surface.
No, there isn't a site in the United States that's been built with these kinds of oil field gas conditions.
Patricia McPherson is an environmentalist. She and gas expert Bernard Endres are battling in court to force the developers to take another look at gas conditions all across the site.
The gas levels in the near surface soil are so enormous.
A letter from the LA Unified School District suggests McPherson and Endres are not the only ones concerned. In 2001, it says, a possible school site at Playa Vista was deemed unacceptable by LAUSD due to acknowledged methane releases. McPherson says that sums up what's wrong with Playa Vista as a whole.
It sums it up because the methane levels out here are so high and it's so unpredictable.
City engineers have mapped methane gas under Playa Vista, including explosive concentrations coded here in red. They've also detected toxic BTEX chemicals and contamination from man-made sources. The developers' own studies have uncovered dangerous levels of hydrogen sulfide, known as H2S.
The gas masks were there for a reason.
Jerry Mabry was a security man at Playa Vista back in the late 1990s. As he writes in this affidavit, he remembers an instance when he discovered an engineering crew in gas masks wandering around the site, warning of explosive methane.
They'd hit a pocket of gas, and it was possible danger of explosion.
Later, Mabry says he took a camera crew to an area where he'd previously encountered dead vegetation and sulfuric smells associated with hydrogen sulfide. This video, he says, was shot during the nighttime visit.
You could see bubbling up through the water, and the surrounding vegetation was dead. And you could see small insects died there, snails or other insects.
Mabry became alarmed and warned Playa Vista, and then quit and turned his findings and affidavit over to McPherson. He blames the city for not doing enough to assure the safety of the project.
The city wanted this so bad that they fast-tracked the permit process.
In fact, the city council signed off on Playa Vista in 2001. Its official report declared the toxic chemicals to be, quote, insignificant, and said enough is known about the potential methane hazards to allow for appropriate mitigation. But McPherson and Endres have spotted what they see as fresh signs of uncertainty in the gas picture. A new leak near the townhouse area, another across the highway in the marshes, where they collected enough flammable gas in a plastic bag to create a makeshift blowtorch as our cameras recorded the action. They've also uncovered a final confidential report by the city's own former chief engineer, which says that gas pockets at Playa Vista are, quote, too erratic to be predictable, especially in an earthquake.
There could be a large surge of gas, and then it could create an even larger explosion hazard.
In the meantime, gas experts and concerned insiders are stepping forward to help Endres and McPherson persuade the city and Playa Vista to re-examine gas conditions at this site.
We're concerned about the risk of an explosion.
Florence Garibian of the California Department of Toxic Substances Control says the city and Playa Vista often conducted gas tests in fresh cover soil that can conceal the gas.
The samples that had been collected were not complete.
She says she remembers one episode in late 2001, secretly videotaped by McPherson. The video shows engineers at Playa digging up and blending possibly contaminated sludge with clean soil just before the state inspector shows up. When he does arrive, they keep him off the site and give them a scoopful of the blended dirt for testing.
How can you get an accurate reading when you're fluff and folding the soil?
Karabian won't comment on whether her man was deliberately misled, but she does acknowledge the incident took place and says that questions remain about Playa Vista.
There could be dangers associated with the levels of gas that are present at this site.
I really wouldn't rely on those numbers.
Engineer Walter Merschat says he's also worried about the way testing was done at Playa Vista, where he worked as a lead consultant for the city.
I was the first guy to sample there.
He says gas samples were sometimes taken too far apart to detect all the methane present, especially beneath the main construction site known as Area D.
Area D was probably sampled a little too sparsely. In some cases, you could be within 15 or 20 or 25 feet, say, of a methane seep and not really detect it.
This methane map is based on the testing Merschat did for the city and covers the southern edge of Playa Vista. The blue shading represents low methane concentrations. Now consider a more recent gas map of the same area, based on more extensive testing by Playa Vista contractors. It shows two newly discovered underground methane concentrations rated hazardous by the city. The black dots show concentrations above the explosive level, some twice the explosive level.
The maps reveal that the problem is much worse today than what it was previously recognized to be several years back.
As it happens, this part of Playa Vista is where the school was to have been located. It's a hotspot for man-made contamination. It's also close to the newly discovered gas seep and the area where Jerry Mabry says he discovered dead plants and insects 7 years ago. And it's still prime real estate. Last summer, Playa Vista invited LA Unified to consider a new school site in almost the same spot. Grading is now underway, but McPherson recently videotaped bubbles venting in the adjacent waterway, and inspectors from the California Regional Water Quality Control Board showed up to take a look.
Whether it's methane, whether it's some other kind of gas or constituent, you don't know until you have it analyzed.
The inspectors say the bubbles that we found all along this waterway here may indicate a leak in a safety system their own agency ordered installed here, an underground membrane to control the contamination. And they are asking the developer to help investigate.
We're very interested in making sure that the right thing is being done out here.
And what about LA Unified? Is it interested in this new site?
If we never hear from Playa Vista, I'll be really happy. That's my personal view.
Angela Bellomo is head of the school district's Health and Safety Division. Has your staff or your department received any information from Playa Vista that you've seen that indicates that would be a dangerous site?
Yeah, it raised enough issues about the high methane and H2S that have been noted in that area.
Bellomo says his department will formally examine the proposed site only after a review by the State Department of Toxic Substances Control, a process required by law. But he says the unpredictability of the gases at Playa is very real.
You can't take a reading at any particular point in time and say this accurately reflects or represents the conditions on that piece of property.
Given that, why would you want to gamble with the lives of kids in a school like that, like so many canaries in a coal mine?
Yeah, you wouldn't. There's a good chance that with the range of environmental factors that one would have to consider here at Playa Vista, that this site would be rejected.
Playa Vista spokesman Steve Sugarman declined to answer questions on camera, even after we provided him with this video of the contamination test by the state inspector. In a written statement, he says the video demonstrates, quote, the work was performed in a professional manner that met or exceeded all applicable standards. And he says, quote, exhaustive studies by city departments have concluded the community is safe. On the school project, he says Playa Vista is participating with LA Unified in a, quote, thorough environmental review of the site. Bellomo says it hasn't begun yet.
We're not considering the site currently.
The site.
As for McPherson, she says she wants one thing from Playa Vista.
I would like to see them prove that this site can be made safe.
The Playa Vista developers say tonight that methane can be found all over Southern California, and they're in the forefront of efforts to make sure that it's safe for the residents. As you saw in our report tonight, sources tell us that more work needs to be done. The developers' written comments can be found on our website, www.nbc4.tv.